Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Yes, today is Thursday. I forget what day it is, but let's start with greetings. Hello, my name is Daniel. I'll be your host. Your
guy in the chair.
He said it! He said it!
and for today, since it's finally over, I give to you the Croaker Drinker's thoughts and review of the Ahsoka series. So enjoy.
And so we come
Enjoy.
at last to the season finale of Ahsoka, the fourth Disney Plus show in a row that's apparently going to save Star Wars. Because the other three were just warm-up acts, you see. Ahsoka is where we finally got to see Dave Filoni's creative abilities fully unleashed. And oh boy, what an eye-opening experience it was. If I had to sum up Ahsoka in just one sentence, I'd say it's a show of missed opportunities. Just like its main villain, it was given every resource and advantage it could possibly ask for, and should have pulled off an easy win, but somehow managed to squander every single one with absolutely zero impact, and yet still smugly acted as if it had come out on top. So fold your arms and paste a blank expression onto your face, because we're going in hard and fast with this one. The basic plotline should be familiar to anyone that watched my previous video, but here goes anyway. Ahsoka is on the tail of a witch named Morgan who plans to use a magical bullshit MacGuffin map to travel to another galaxy using the Eye of Sauron and bring back Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's been stranded there for the past 10 years after the events of Star Wars Rebels. Along the way, she hooks up with a block of wood known as Sabine, who also wants to go to the other galaxy so that she can rescue Ezra Bridger, who got stranded there along with Thrawn. Don't worry though, he's less of a character with his own unique drives and motivations, and more like a piece of furniture that everyone fights over. Oh yeah, and Hera's also there because she was a character in Rebels. Anyway, it all goes wrong when Sabine gives the magical bullshit map to Morgan, and Ahsoka gets her ass kicked by one of the only interesting characters in the entire show. But that's okay, because she then teleports to a magical get-out-of-jail-free card invented by Dave Filoni and has a hallucination of Anakin. Remember Anakin?
Oh, I hate you.
Or maybe he's a Force ghost, or a fragment of Anakin's consciousness, or Ahsoka's memory of him conjured up by her subconscious mind to try to save her life. I don't really know, and I'm willing to bet that Dave Filoni doesn't know either. It's all down to interpretation, you see. The important thing I learned from that whole episode is that it's better to choose to be alive than dead. Also, remember Anakin? Anyway, so then Ahsoka hitches a ride on a giant space whale that takes her across intergalactic space to the exact planet where Thrawn is stranded, because apparently these things travel there on a regular basis. You serious? Well, that was lucky, because she would have been kind of fucked otherwise. You know, I've got a few questions about this situation. If the space whales can take you to the exact planet where Thrawn is waiting and back again, then why did Morgan need the Eye of Sauron to get there in the first place? In fact, why did she need the magical bullshit map? Why didn't Thrawn use the space whales to get back to his own galaxy all by himself? I mean, he's supposed to be the smartest guy in the universe or something. You'd think he would have found a way to make that happen after 10 years. This kind of shit is without doubt Dave Filoni's biggest problem as a writer. Well, apart from his complete inability to write interesting dialogue, or craft stories that are more than just fetch quest for magical MacGuffins, or create people who actually make smart decisions, or his borderline fetish for the boring, mediocre character he's trying so hard to insert as the driving force behind the entire Star Wars narrative. No, it's his constant fucking around and retconning of past events and world building to suit the needs of his own narrow story. It's like he's staying in a hotel room for a couple of days and decided that he now has the right to completely remodel the place because he feels like it. This isn't your job, Dave. You're supposed to work within the rules of the world that George created, not write a whole bunch of new ones just to suit yourself that now affect everyone else. Whatever. So they get to the planet and Sabine gets reunited with Ezra in the most stale, boring, emotionless reunion scene that I've ever witnessed on screen. Wouldn't want to have our characters display genuine human emotion or vulnerability even for a second, eh? Then Ahsoka shows up and they have a bunch of pointless fight scenes which almost always end in a draw before the plot decides that it's time to wrap this shit up. So Thrawn leaves with the Eye of Sauron and there's more fighting, and these red witch ladies turn dead stormtroopers into zombies for some reason, and then Thrawn returns to his own galaxy with Ezra on board, and Sabine and Ahsoka are left stranded stranded on the planet in a different galaxy. Because I guess they just kind of forgot that they can hitch a ride on the next pod of space whales that show up. Oh, and Balin teleports into Lord of the Rings so that he can stare at Mount Doom for a while, and the series ends with a final shot of Force Ghost Anakin. Remember Anakin? Actually, I prefer to imagine that it's really just Hayden Christensen smirking about the whole thing, because he knows that every time Disney makes another shitty Star Wars show, the prequel trilogy goes up just a little bit higher in everyone's collective memory.
I don't like sand.
What an absolute shit show this was. I mean, I can't say I expected much from it after the first couple of episodes, but Jesus, somehow it found a way to sink even lower. Nothing that happens in this absolute calamity makes any sense, so it's probably for the best that very little actually happens at all. The only thing that's really changed by the end is that the characters have effectively swapped places. Thrawn and Ezra are back in their home galaxy, while Sabine and Ahsoka are stranded in the other one. Nobody really learns anything, or grows, or changes into a better person in the course of the story. Sabine is just as much of a smug, boring arsehole as she was at the beginning, played by an actress who's absolutely determined not to show any emotional range whatsoever.
Ah, smug mode.
Ahsoka is the same bland, humorless, charmless non-entity who walks around extremely slowly, crosses her arms occasionally, and stares at things with great deliberation, only to spout the most simplistic and obvious dialogue that would make a 12-year-old fanfiction writer cringe. She supposedly goes through some kind of spiritual reawakening about the midpoint of the season, but really the only change that comes about is that she's dressed in different clothes afterwards. Fucking hell, remember when character development was a thing? Ezra barely even qualifies as a character. He's just there to do whatever the others tell him to. He happily goes along with every plan, has absolutely no agency or independent thoughts, and never questions anything. In other words, he's a perfect male hero for any modern Disney Star Wars production. Damn, man, I can't imagine how crushingly disappointing it must have been for Rebels fans to finally see Ezra and Sabine reunited after 10 years, and all they get is, "Hey, how's it going?" This is not how human beings are supposed to act. And the thing is, there's a ton of stuff you could have done with these characters if you were a half-decent writer. Ahsoka could have been genuinely tempted by the power of the dark side, just like her former master, struggling to keep anger and vengeance from getting the better of her, especially after losing a battle against Balin and almost dying in the process. Or maybe she's getting older now, and she's very conscious that she's no longer a Jedi at her full potential, but she has to rally herself to go on this one last desperate mission. It would also help to explain why she's so fucking slow during the fight scenes. I mean, it's not exactly original, but it's something at least. Sabine could have been a hot-headed, impulsive wildcard who tries to do everything by herself and fails disastrously, and slowly has to learn to trust and cooperate with others. The show gives us little hints of this kind of character with dialogue, but then it shows us the exact opposite, and it creates this weird disconnect. Ezra could have been a driven, intense warrior after spending 10 years fighting to survive on a hostile planet. He might even have been angry that Sabine risked the fate of the entire galaxy just to come after him, when he literally sacrificed everything to stop Thrawn once already. I mean, God forbid you have a male character that shows just a tiny bit of backbone. On that subject, actually, it's nice to see the classic Disney two-tier morality system at play in this show. Like, Sabine literally gives up the only thing that could stop Thrawn from returning and launching a genocidal war against the entire galaxy, all to save one man that she personally cares about. It wouldn't be particularly hard to argue that her actions were morally reprehensible, and every subsequent death in the Star Wars universe is completely her responsibility, but she's never once called out on her selfish bullshit. It's just totally hand-waved away as a justified and completely acceptable decision. Or how about when Hera disobeys direct orders from superior officers and launches an unsanctioned mission into enemy territory that gets several people killed, and then falsifies official instructions to cover her own arse?
And you protected the New Republic by ignoring direct orders.
No, I protected the New Republic by ignoring you.
She gets nothing but a wink wink, I know what you did and I'm totally cool with it from Mon Mothma, whereas Poe Dameron did the exact same thing in TLJ, but actually accomplished a lot more than Hera and got a slap in the face and an instant demotion for his troubles. But yeah, sure, I guess stuff like this is okay when a woman does it. Wouldn't want to hold them accountable for their own actions or anything, would we? I said before that Ahsoka is a show of missed opportunities, and no character personifies this problem more than Thrawn himself, a villain that's been built up relentlessly as the Thanos of the Star Wars universe, but when he actually waddles onto the screen in his cheap, badly fitting uniform and beer gut, he's about as intimidating as a fucking plush toy. He consistently makes terrible tactical decisions, squanders his vastly superior forces by feeding them piecemeal into the battle, withdraws for no reason when he's got the heroes dead to rights on multiple occasions, and constantly delays his escape to give them time to catch up to him. His entire presence in this show is nothing but a constant stream of blunders and costly defeats, but he somehow acts like he's some grand strategist who always intended for it to play out this way. As Little Platoon so rightly pointed out, he's a stupid person's idea of what a smart person should be, doing incredibly dumb things hidden behind a thin veneer of cool, composed intellectualism. Personally though, I think he's a perfect metaphor for your average Hollywood screenwriter, someone who constantly manages to fail upwards, spinning every flop and disaster into a subtly orchestrated victory, and deluded into believing their own hype by years of echo chamber isolation. And I know this is a purely aesthetic thing, but Jesus, even the fight scenes look like absolute dog shit. Almost nobody can move or fight with anything approaching competence, and Rosario Dawson is probably the worst offender. She's only 44, but she moves like a 60-year-old, slow and stiff and uncoordinated. You can tell how hard she's having to work just to keep up with the basic fight choreography, and it's made even worse when she's matched up against actors who actually know what they're doing. Hayden Christensen runs rings around her, and you can tell he's having to do the bulk of the work just to make the fight look halfway interesting. Diana Inasato's a martial arts expert, and even though she's more than a decade older, she's so much faster and more coordinated that it's almost embarrassing watching them square off. All of this stuff, the stupidity masquerading as intelligence, the gaping plot holes, the world-breaking new technology and plot devices, the lazy and simplistic fight scenes, the complete lack of emotional chemistry, the glacially slow pace, and the shameless exploitation of characters and events from far more competent productions all adds up to a show that's just as shitty and forgettable as everything else that Disney Lucasfilm have made. Ahsoka is a show for people who like the idea of Star Wars rather than the reality, people whose collective memory and understanding of the world that George Lucas created extends roughly as far back as the last forgettable Star Wars TV show sharted out onto Disney+. People who'll clap and cheer and cry like complete idiots at the appearance of something vaguely familiar without pausing for even a second to question why it's there or what the point of it is. It's a perfect example of the old red letter media meme.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
And now that it has been consumed, the people who pretended to love it with such wild hysteria will forget about it just as quickly as every other shitty Star Wars show that's come and gone over the past few years. And maybe that's the idea. Maybe these are the kind of brain-dead simpletons that Disney want to cultivate as fans now. People that will accept any old slop that you serve up because they've lost the ability or the will to expect anything better. And if so, fuck it, they're welcome to it because I don't give a shit anymore. Star Wars is dead and Dave Filoni did not bring it back. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Hey guys, yeah, that one was a little longer in length, but it doesn't matter. It's content. But still, I like the show. I thought it was decent. Not the best, but decent. But hey, we're all entitled to our own opinions. He is, you are, I am, everybody. But I hope y'all liked it. Don't forget to like it, comment down below, and then subscribe. And hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a new video and shit. Bye.